it is very important and vital that we talk about it. If we want our children to develop to the fullest potential in terms of brain capability, then the child needs to eat and eat well in the right proportion with the needed nutrients. Thank you.
Right, great. Sir Fred.
Yeah. So adding on to what the doctor just said,
right,
we know that brain development starts from the pregnancy stage. So the moment a child is conceived, brain development starts from that point onwards. So it's expected that the pregnant woman is well nourished in order to be able to help the child develop the brain cells and the neurons that would help that child grow and become active in the classroom. Without the right nutrients, the child would definitely suffer in the long run. So for the first 1,000 days, that's from 0 to 2 years, we expect the mother and the child to have enough nutrients to help in the neuron development and also help that child have the brain develop to the stage it needs to develop up to. Without that, it becomes very difficult for the child to grow well and also be active in the classroom when it comes to learning onwards in his or her life.
Are there specific stages in the child's life where nutrition is critical, and if not taken or seriously, is going to have effect on the child?
Yes, there are specific periods. As I said, for the first 1,000 days, that's very key.
The first what? 1,000 days?
1,000 days, yeah.
That's about how many months?
That's 2 years, 0 to 2 years.
Oh, 0 to 2 years.
Yeah.
The first 1,000 days. Okay.
So it's very critical in the child's development, brain cells development, and also between the ages of 11 and 12, that's also very critical. Then adolescence. Those periods are very critical for brain development. If you miss those periods, it becomes very challenging for the child as he or she grows on, because those cells were not well developed. And without those well developed cells, the child suffers a lot when it comes to cognitive development and also academically performing.
So the first 1,000 days,
yeah,
11 to 12 years, and then late adolescence.
Yeah.
That is when nutrition, even though throughout the child's age, nutrition is important, but these are the periods where nutrition is critical.
Yes.
For the development of the brain.
Yes.
Why? Why these specific
well, scientifically, research has shown that those are the periods that the brain is still developing, is growing, because the brain has some periods that it grows. And at that point, it stops, then picks up again, then stops again, and picks up for the final time. So whatever you need within those periods, if you're not able to get them within those periods, then I believe you are going to get into trouble going forward in the future.
Okay, doctor. So what really happens when a child's, what really happens to the brain when a child is not well nourished in school?
Well, adding on to what he really put it, if a child's brain is not well developed as a result of poor intake of diet,
right?
Certainly, as I said, there are some children you see them physically well developed, grown well, but the brain is not functioning well because of what we normally call a hidden hunger.
Okay.
Hidden hunger in the sense that there are some vitamins, some zinc, and other important ingredients that the brain needs. It serves as the fuel to the brain. And so the child may eat all right, but if it doesn't get those important things, the brain cannot function well. And in the classroom, a child who is malnourished and as such, the brain is not developed well, may not pick language well. Research shows that by age 6 months and onwards, a child is capable of coming out the first word.
Okay.
But there are some children who may delay up to 2 years. They have not been said daddy or mommy. It also has to do with if children's brain are not developed because of lack of nutrient, those children become slow in class. Some put up attention deficit hyperactivity disorders. Normally, there are children who cannot concentrate on a task. With every 5 minutes, their brain moves off the task. There are some children who, in the class, cannot concentrate. They easily forget. Again, these are children that the way they talk alone, you realize that they are not advancing intelligence as expected of them at the age that they find themselves. Just imagine you have a child who is in GHS 3, and you ask him to add 4 to 5, and the child begins counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in that order. Clearly, you could see that the mental age and the chronological age at that time are not linking up as expected. And so children whose brain are not well developed due to poor nutrients cannot concentrate in class. They have low self-esteem among themselves. They feel a sense of not belonging to the class, and teachers will have a difficult time teaching them because they easily forget and they lack attention in class as well.
So how early can we see these symptoms?
As early as he indicated. In fact, brain development architecture indicates that within the first 2 weeks of pregnancy is the most critical stage in child development. And here, the child depends solely on the mother's nutrient and eating habits. The mothers, when they are pregnant, they just eat in the name of, as we normally call it, pinting biadami in Ashanti, meaning that they just eat for eating sake.
Just to fill their tummies.
Yes, but know that you are not just eating for yourself, but that of the child. And so at the early stage, if a child's brain is not developed well due to poor intake of nutrients, as I've indicated, you can easily see that the child may not perform well in class. And there are many other signs I've also indicated earlier on.
Wow. So even as early as conception, we need to be very critical about what we eat so it can help with the development of the brain. That's what you're saying. Certainly. It goes a long way to affect the child's development. I must say that this brain development hinges on 2 major factors, the genetic factors and the biological factors. Okay. But the biological, genetic, and environmental factors, nutrients form part of the environmental factors. Though there could be some chromosomal abnormalities that can affect the normal brain development, but nutrients fall under the environmental factors that parents have to really take care. Unfortunately, when mothers are pregnant, they are unable to eat a diet of their choice. Interestingly, that's the time that husbands may be ready and willing to provide their preferred diet, but they are unable to do so because of some chromosomal changes. However, parents are advised to eat well so that the child brain will develop well, develop the right language, and the child can grow and develop in all the domains as expected. So as an early childhood teacher, kindergarten, I know and I read that you're well versed in kindergarten teaching. Let's say if a child, at what age should we even take a child to school? That is, school readiness is also an interesting topic. In Ghana, per law, is at age 4, but school readiness varies from one context to the other and one culture to the other. But in Ghana, by law, is from age 4 onwards that children are supposed to be in school. But you and I know that 6 months children are in school in Ghana now. And that is also another issue. Whether they are caring for them or they are in school to learn is also another interesting topic. At age 2, can a child learn? Children learning begins at conception. Okay. If you read UNESCO's definition, it begins at conception. And the children, in fact, there's a therapy that husbands and fathers, potential fathers, can do with their child. If you want your child to get bonded with you, just as the child will bond with the mother by natural means, within the first 3 months, trimester, you make it a conscious effort. Always go and lie by your wife and play with the stomach, sing lullaby, and tell stories. By the time the child is out, the child will be bonded with the mother, the father just as will be bonded with the mother. And that tells you that learning takes place after conception until the child is born, and it continues until one dies. Men, we are learning. Men, I hope you are all learning this new thing that doctor is talking about. It might not be new to other people, but men, I think certainly. We should. Yes, so certainly. We should learn about that. Okay, so Sir Fred, as a technical manager in this area, how have you seen nutrition help young people in their cognitive ability?
Yes, so looking at what, let me just build on from where Dr. ended. Brain development starts very early, and a lot of people do not get this. They think that until the child is born, that's when the child starts developing his or her brain, but then it starts very early. So without the right nutrient and everything, the child does not develop their brains to support their learning. And this goes a long way to affect their cognitive development in school. Now, when you look at a child who is well nourished, you realize that in school they become very active.
Yeah.
They are very active, and the teacher even feels like, most often teachers use them as the best students in the classroom because they are ready to participate in lessons. They are ready to, they are not dull, let me just put it that way.
Okay.
But a child who is malnourished, you realize that most often that child might be sleepy or even very often very sick and sometimes absent themselves from school. And these are signs that the child's nutrition level is low and it's also affecting the child's cognitive development. And as people who work in those spaces, it's always an important thing for us to recognize those signs and symptoms quickly so that we can bring out the right remedies for those children to help them. Because if these things are not treated, if these things are not worked on, it goes a long way to affect the child throughout his or her life. And we see people and we feel like, why is, you ask yourself, a simple task, an adult should perform a simple task, and you realize the adult is not able to even do it. You're asking yourself, what happened? Because maybe when we go back to his or her history, during pregnancy or during his or her early childhood, he or she never got the right nutrients that would help them develop the right cells. The neural connections and transmitters in the brain, they all need nutrients. Without those nutrients, the neural transmitters wouldn't work well to be able to connect your neurons to be able to make sure that your brain is very active and functioning. Yeah.
So what are the most common nutrition-related challenges that usually affect children of today?
Very often we see, children who are always sick. They are very feeble, weak. They sleep in class. And sometimes you see a child who is always dizzy in the classroom.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't even come to school because they don't have anything to eat at home. So they have to stay back and wait for their parents to provide something, or they have to go and fend for themselves. So very often they absent themselves from school. So absenteeism is very high among them. And also you see children who are very dull or weak, they are cognitively not too strong. So responsive. So when you ask questions in the classroom, they are laid back and they don't want to respond because they are not really active in the classroom.
Yeah, so World Vision, right?
Yeah.
What do you do to intervene for such children in different communities?
Yes, so for us, we have a lot of programming around those cases. We have what we call the mother-to-mother groups, mother-to-mother support groups in our communities, where we take them through how to prepare nutritious meals for their children, especially during pregnancy. And we work with the health facilities in those communities to train them. We have them, they come in every week where they are taken through preparing nutritious meals. We sometimes support them with the items so that they prepare it as a demonstration lesson for them to see. Then they also go and replicate in their various homes. When it comes to the school as well, we are in talks with some of our partners in order to provide meals at school so that children will have nutritious meals. At least breakfast should be provided so that they can be able to, that will support their cognitive development. And also,
which areas are these things so that I can push people to be going there?
Yeah, we have a lot of districts in which we operate. We are in 14 regions.
Out of the 16? Out of the 16
regions. We have districts that I can list. So maybe in the south here, we have Fantiakwa North, Fantiakwa South. We have Karachi, Inchumuru, Karachi West. We have Afram Plains, North and South, etc. East. We have so many.
So many of them. Dr. Asari?
Yes?
Yeah. How would a parent know that the child's cognitive ability is as a result of poor nutrition?
Okay, that is an interesting question. Most parents think that their job is to provide food for the child to develop physically, and so they will do so. Teachers also think that their job is to train the brain by teaching them in the class, and they do so. But normally their socio-emotional aspect is neglected. And children who brain are not well developed, as we have said, don't perform well in class, academically, language-wise, socio-emotional issues. They don't easily relate and interact well with people. They have a sense of not belonging to the class, and they underperform as compared to their age. Simple puzzles, they may not be able to fix it. But there's a misconception sometimes. Some of the things may be seen as purely health related.
Okay.
But it can be as a result of lack of the right food nutrients. Children who normally, and when I see temper tantrum, there are children who, when they easily become frustrated and annoying, and they throw things around. Some roll themselves on the floor when they become annoyed. That is what we call temper tantrum in child psychology. Most of these things can be medical reasons, but sometimes it can also be as a result of poor nutrients, which is not feeding the right transmitters in the brain for the child to develop socially as expected and be able to connect with others. So as a normal parent, it might be quite difficult for you to know if a child is exhibiting these symptoms, whether it's purely health related or nutritious or nutrient related. And that is why it is important that when you see such signs, you may consult the needed professionals. In a normal school, proper school as I call it, there's supposed to be people, we call them paraprofessionals. Aside the normal classroom teachers, there are trained nurses, psychologists, special educators, counselors, and even nutritionists who are supposed to be in the school to help teachers, because not all teachers are trained in all these fields, and of course, no teacher training can equip you with all these relevant skills. So we need these supporting staff to be there. And anytime a teacher senses any of these signs and symptoms, he may make referral to the needed professionals who will be able to conduct some tests to see whether these signs are really emanating from pure genetic health related issues or environmental factors such as lack of nutrient or food issues. But generally speaking, children who perform below standard as compared to their age, those who lack attention, easily become tired, frustrated, don't perform well in class, and don't even ask questions that are quite intelligent, then we may suspect that it may be as a result of poor nutrients, because zinc and the needed iron that the brain needs to function well may not be provided.
So, doctor, apart from the cognitive ability, apart from recall, asking questions, being able to respond to certain questions, other mental development like motor skills, some children are able to do certain things with their fingers, but are not able to recall or are not able to have the cognitive side of the mental development. What do you say about those things? Is it also mental or mental health issue? What is it about?
Well, the food nutrients are needed for the child to pay attention, right needed memory, and then ability to solve problems and critical thinking as expected. But the issue of dexterity, what you mentioned, whenever you call them dexterity, ability to use the gross and fine motor skills. When I say gross motor, we're looking at the bigger muscles that are needed to perform some activities like jumping, throwing, and all those things. Then we have the fine motor skills that are relating to the finger muscles for catching, throwing, and drawing and writing. yes, the child needs nutrients to be able to develop physically.
Yeah.
And that physical development will help the child to be able to hold on to writing material and be able to write as expected, and then do a lot of dexterity activities. And so the food nutrient component can affect the child's physical development, including the ability to use a hand to perform some manipulative skills. But where you are going, there are multiple intelligence. Some perform well when it comes to language-related issues, and some perform well when it comes to manipulative issues. And all of these have some relationship when it comes to the nutrients, the food nutrients for proper brain development. In fact, the brain is a major organ that utilizes about 20% of the entire body energy.
Right.
And without energy, you cannot perform those things. But manipulative skills and cognitive skills, language, and all those things are what we've termed them as intelligence in a multiple way. In fact, every child or every human being is said to have 9 distinguishing intelligence. We call them multiple intelligence according to Gardner. And so everybody shows intelligence in one way or the other. Some do them through music. Some do them through spaces and movement. Others show their intelligence when it comes to language. Some learn with themselves. Others learn by interacting and socializing with others. Some learn through nature, and we call them naturalistic learners. And others also will learn when it comes to logical sequence. So it depends. But the child needs nutrients in food to develop the brain, the physical being, the social being, the cognitive aspect, language, and all the areas, including creativity. So the nutrient is the engine that the body needs to be able to function well.
Yeah, so in your experience, what are some of the common misconceptions that people usually have when it comes to learning abilities, whether it's linked to nutrition and or health?
Okay. There is this belief that children cannot learn. And when a child cannot learn, the belief is that the child is either suffering from genetic issues or health related. But the learning itself is something that hinges on fuel, and the fuel is the nutrient that will help the brain to develop. How can a car move without the needed fuel? And so not all children who are not able to learn well in class can be seen as health related. Sometimes they are not able to learn because they don't have the right nutrient for the right brain development for the child to be able to perform certain tasks. And then I also mentioned issues about some children cannot even play, normal play. Because in child psychology, we say that, yes, playing. We normally say that children learn best by doing and through play.
Right.
And play is one of the major pedagogical strategies that teachers employ to help children to learn.
Yeah.
And so some children normally will not socialize themselves with others and be able to partake in group play and other socialization activities. And we may think that the child is suffering from some sociability related issues, but it could be as a result that the brain is not getting the needed nutrients for the right transmitters to perform so that the child can socialize. Then the attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder issues too. That sometimes is purely medical, which will need some medication for the child to be able to concentrate and pay attention in class. But there are some who also do so because the brain is not well developed as a result of poor nutrition. And so there are many other issues that misconception play parts. But it's up to a psychologist, child psychologist, or an expert to be able to find out through observation and proper maybe test to identify the exact cause of the child's inability to perform. But not all issues children put up in class can be purely seen as health related. Some as a result of poor nutrition, which is leading to that. And as soon as the child is put on right diet, those things can easily be corrected. Gone were the days that we had a belief that if a child misses certain developmental achievement at a certain age, it can never be corrected. Through modern neuroscience, there's enough evidence to show that the children's brain can be reversed in a way we call it neuroplasticity, which is a new emerging field in early childhood education. So there are a lot of issues, but experts are able to diagnose that and then put in the needed remediation measures to correct it. But the earlier that correction is done, the better.
Thank you, Dr. Asari. We'll go on a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about how to manage such children and what to do to prevent all these nutrition and health related cognitive developments and ability. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to Consulting Room 5 with me, your host, Dr. Su. We are with Sir Fred Paku and Dr. Asari Koto, who are both well-versed in education, specifically with child education, child development and education. We are discussing how nutrition and health can have effect on children's cognitive ability and learning experience. So you welcome, gentlemen, once again.
Thank you.
Sir Fred, how does a child's nutrition and cognitive ability have effects on him or her in later lives, in his or her later life? Okay.
If you separate the two of them, I think you are missing the whole point. Because if the neurons are not developed, if the transmitters are not well developed, you can't use your brain to do any cognitive activity in the future. It becomes very difficult for the child. So you realize that such children are always regarded as underperforming, and maybe sometimes we even misconceive it as laziness because the child is always lacking behind when it comes to cognitive activities in the classroom. So nutrition is very key to a child's cognitive development. Even after that, even in adolescence, you still need those neurons. If they are not well developed from the foundation, it becomes very difficult for you. So you ask the question about how does that cognitive development even affect the psychomotor of the child. If those neurons are not well developed, it becomes very difficult for even an adult to use. So you realize that there are certain people who are very good with their psychomotor, being able to use their hands, their feet, and everything. There are others too who are not able to do anything. Sometimes it becomes very difficult for them. Even a simple task, you realize it becomes very difficult for an adult even to do. Sometimes we can talk about dancing, sorry. But some people, you realize that some people are very good at dancing, others are not so good.
I thought it was the rhythm.
Sometimes.
Okay.
So we are looking at nutrition being the foundation for your brain usage, because the brain controls everything that we do. If your brains are not well developed, then I'm not sure you'll be able to do a lot of things. So we need nutrition, a very good nutrition, to be able to help us, even in the future as adults, to be able to perform the tasks that we are expected to perform.
So poor nutrition at the early stage have a long way to affect you in...
A long way. So even, for instance, when you look at stunting, someone who is shorter than
the age
that he or she should be, you realize that it becomes very challenging for them even in the future as adults, because if that stunting is not corrected early or is not even corrected at all, then that child grows up to be an adult who is maybe stunted and has challenges with other things when it comes to the cognitive development or cognitive activities to be carried out.
Dr. Asari.
Yes.
So if there is that one thing that a parent, a teacher, or even policymakers should be aware of to be able to help children develop their mental health, what would that thing be?
First, the parents have to be conscious that the major fuel that the body drives on is good nutrients, food nutrients. And so the parents from conception should eat a balanced diet. Then when the child comes out, the child should be fed with the right food in its right proportion. There are some children who eat normal, they grow all well, but then when it comes to performance of some cognitive related tasks, they are unable to do so because the right zinc and then the vitamins that they need for the brain to work with the transmitters might not be there. And then parents are also advised to always seek for professional support and help. And schools, as owners of schools, should also employ child psychologists, nutritionists or dietitians, health professionals to also support the work of the classroom teachers, which is very important. And then as teacher educators, we should also incorporate issues of nutrition, issues of neuroscience and neuroscience and modern science, brain architecture into our curriculum so that teachers will also really understand, because educating a child cannot be seen as one person's responsibility. It takes the support of the classroom teacher, the parent, the community, and all other individuals who matter most in order to holistically be able to develop a child with the right brain, right physical development, socio-emotional development, and the child will be useful and beneficial to society and Ghana for that matter.
So, Doctor, again, how can psychologists and educators help children who are already experiencing these nutrition-related problems, which leads to learning disabilities and cognitive impairment?
Thanks for this. It begins with right attitude and disposition towards these children. The children should have a loving and caring, supporting environment created by the teachers and assure them that all is not lost. And then we can also put in remedial measures like proper dieting. This brings the issue of school feeding program in Ghana. It has its own history as to how it started. I think some Netherlands people came to Ghana, Holland people came to Ghana to pilot test their science pedagogy, and they realized that most children were not performing. And so they came along with some nutritionists and dietitians, and then they were able to come out that most of the children were deficient in their brain. And that brought in a remediation in the form of providing one nutritious meal in the school to correct that deficient mind. So school feeding programs should be taken seriously, and then the right nutrient and balanced diet should be provided for the children. And as teachers, our pedagogical approach should also be differentiated. When I say differentiation, I'm looking at differentiating the environment, being able to also differentiate the process and the product of the teaching and learning process. Mind you, no single shoe will fit all the children in your class. And as such, we don't use only one strategy or approach in teaching children. We should use eclectic or multiplicity of methods. And then everybody learns different way. And so if you use 2 or 3 different ways of teaching, at least each child may be able to find his or her own pathway of learning. And again, I also advise that we should work with other professionals, as I indicated, paraprofessionals, to assist us. And if a parent suspect of any form of under delay or performance in children, the person should send the child to the right professional for diagnosis and immediate remediation. But the good news is that due to the modern science and research, it is not too late. No matter the age of the child, some corrective measures, therapy are available for children to be able to gain their brain neuron development as it's supposed to be. However, as I indicated earlier on, the earlier, the better.
The earlier, the better. So at what age would we say that this particular child cannot have any remedial measure or cannot have any intervention at all?
Initially, research suggested that anything after age 8 was difficult. But modern research is showing that even within the teen age, 16, 17, 18, 19, it can be corrected. But then it depends on how long the issue has been, and then the right measure that can be put in place to correct it. But I would say that within the first 8 years, a child can be made or made. A parent should be conscious of that and then put in the right measures to avert any potential delays in development, especially cognitive-related issues, which comes about as a result of poor diet or nutrient.
Yeah. So, doctor, what practical advice would you give to we parents first? Okay. What to do to help such children? So the parents first, and then the teachers in school, what they should do to also help these children who pick up a bit slow. It begins
with the parent themselves.
Okay.
When they are pregnant, there are certain things they should do with right dieting, and then they should also have good emotional state during pregnancy.
Okay.
Because research shows that mothers who are traumatized and stressed during pregnancy can also give birth to children who have prolonged negative emotions and feelings that also affect their brain development one way or the other. And if the dieting is also not the best, it also affects them. So parents should take care of themselves when they are pregnant. And when the children are also born, they should feed them with the right nutrients, then attend to their health needs. Parents should ensure children get enough play. Per World Health Organization and UNICEF, UNESCO, if you deny your child of play, you are violating the fundamental human right of the child. So children should be given a lot of play-related resources and materials. And then we should also encourage, support our children, speak words of encouragement all the time, show positive emotions and feeling towards our children, and seek for professional support and advice when necessary. That is to the parent. On the part of the teachers, I also say that we have gone through training, we've gone through education, and we know what it takes for a child to develop holistically or fully. And so we should put in the right measures, and it begins the right attitude towards the children, being professional enough, avoid anything that will have impact on the head of the child. If you see an animated video of a child who has been given a knock by a teacher or a parent, it can tear and wear a lot of neurons in the brain cells. And so we should avoid anything that affects the head of the child. And together with the parent, we should also ensure that the children are put on the right diet, right nutrient, with enough support, encouragement, right resources, and differentiated instruction and assessment. And we should also use the right methods and approach or strategy in teaching children.
Thank you. So, Sir Fred, apart from nutrition, what other factors can affect children's learning ability?
And we are looking at even the child's environment, and also we are looking at poverty.
Okay.
Those are major factors that affect child's learning. If there is no money in the house, the child is already stressed because maybe they may be the ones going out to fend for the family.
Okay.
So they don't have time for studies. And if maybe even the environment in which they find themselves, if maybe they find themselves in a community where education is not a priority.
Yeah.
They may not see education as something that they need to get engaged in. So they may take a path that may not help them when it comes to education. So we are looking at such factors where we can change the mindset of parents and society. Because even when we go back to nutrition, First of all, if you ask yourself, is the parent in maybe rural Ghana able to identify that my child is malnourished in the first place? Is that parent able to identify it? If the parent does not have the skills to identify it, because some parents feel like, mine is to provide food, I've provided the food, whether it's nutritious or not, doesn't matter. So they just keep going. But then if they have that kind of education, maybe community engagements where we train them and give them education on nutrition and other things that help them, that would give them the knowledge and the knowledge to be able to provide nutrition.
Identify that even the person has the child has a problem.
Yes, to be able to provide the necessary nutrients and nutrition that the children need. And also, when we are talking about poverty, first of all, look, let's compare schools in Greater Accra and maybe a school in Krachi and Chumuru.
Okay.
Even the
school in what?
Krachi and Chumuru.
Krachi and Chumuru, okay.
Yes. Even the infrastructure alone is discouraging.
Yes.
So, because the community there is somehow poor, they don't even have the right infrastructure, and also they are not able to attract the best teachers.
So
that's also
even go there.
Yes, so that also impacts the education. So there are so many factors that really impact children's education, and not only the nutrition aspect, but also the other aspects that really have greater impact on them as well.
Great. So, Fred, what are your final advices and something for us to take home as we are raising children? What do you advise as parents and even as teachers to do to help with cognitive development?
Yeah. So throughout our discussion, we said during pregnancy is very important for parents.
Yeah.
The moment you've conceived, you should know that development starts from that stage. So whatever you do from there, you have to be very, very conscious about it. So cuddling, having good attitude, and also good nutrition, and also good lifestyle, all impacts the child in your womb.
Okay.
It's not about the child coming out before you try to correct some of those things. You have to start from the moment of conceiving the child. Then also the home environment should be supportive enough, because we know pregnancy is such a difficult period for women. So even the husband should be very supportive enough to support that woman throughout pregnancy. And when the child is given birth to, it's the responsibility of both parents, not only the mother, but also the man has some responsibility to play, some roles to play in that child's development. Then secondly, when you look at the school, so the school environment, we are saying that teachers should be very proactive when it comes to their children. They should be able to observe their children and also recommend the services of others to them. Then for government, we are saying that school feeding is very important.
Right.
They should expand it to all schools in Ghana.
All schools in Ghana. Dr. Koto, in about 1 minute or even less, what advice would you give to parents and teachers to help with cognitive development in children? Less than 1 minute.
I'll make it short and say that nourish your child adequately, developmentally, so that you can unearth the fullest potential of your child.
Right.
And child upbringing is a collaborative venture which involves the community, the parents, the teacher, the government, and the entire society. And it's a full-time job. And all of us should put our hands on deck so that we can develop a society where children will develop and achieve their potentials through proper dieting. Thank you.
Proper dieting, proper nutrition helps children and their cognitive ability, in their mental development. And from our two gentlemen, we have seen that it starts right from conception throughout till the baby is born, and then the early childhood is a critical point for mental development. So we don't have to take it lightly. We need to be serious about it so that our children, who are the future and the next generation, will have good mental health, good cognitive development to help us as we go and as we age, right?
Yeah.
So thank you, Mr. Fred Paku from World Vision International, who is the manager for child education and nutrition. And we also had the opportunity to have with us Dr. Asare Koto, who is the head of department at University of Skills Training and Development, Usted. It used to be Amstead. Now we have changed it to Usted. So if you keep changing your names.
This will be the last time.
This will be the last time. Thank you so much for honoring my invitation. I am very grateful.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and my beautiful wig, if you are loving my wig, is from Cut and Bouncy. Contact Cut and Bouncy on 027 568 9261. 027 568 9261. She will make a very beautiful one for you, like what I'm wearing. Enjoy the weekend, and always remember that nutrition has effect on child development, so don't take it lightly at all. Bye and stay safe.
June to 19 July, everything can wait. The FIFA World Cup 2026. Catch all 104 matches, as little as 58 Ghana cedis, live on SuperSport, only on DSTV.
This sport speaks a lot of volume to me personally, because I feel like my forefather or my own father was killed here, and it's like a child who didn't meet his father, but you come and you hear that this is where your father was slaughtered, in a sense, or your father was killed. So anytime we come here, we feel like this is the home of our ancestors.